I just got back right now from a bris. My friends Adi and Yukrai Friedman just had a baby boy, Mazel Tov, and the bris was today. I tend to get really emotional at brises and at kiddushes for newborn babies. And I want to sort of talk about why these events, why these simchas get me so worked up and so emotional. So first of all, every time I attend a kiddush or a bris, I'm always looking at the mother, and I'm looking at like what this mother did, like what she did and what she does. So like for example, this morning I'm looking at my friend Yikrat, and this isn't Yikrat's first baby, it's not her second baby, in fact it's her 8th, Bli Ayin Hara, her oldest I believe is 14. And she's got a house full of boys. This is her 6th boy that she just had, and 2 little girls. But raising 8 kids, or 7 or 8 kids, it's like 7 and now 8 kids. I can imagine it's always quite challenging. But Yikrat's got a lot of boys, and it's really like a boy house. These are really active boys, like they're boys. And so it's not easy. Like just like watching her, I was just thinking like what she goes through. Like every single day, like raising these boys and like even just like keeping her house going, taking care of all of her kids, making sure that her kids are getting what they need in life, on a physical level, on an emotional level, on a spiritual level even. Taking care of this family and raising this family, and also on top of that, like raising them, like trying to raise them to be good Jews. It's really not easy. I can imagine that every single day it's a challenge. It's a challenge for her just to keep this big and growing family, like to keep it going and to keep it thriving, and just like watching her and just like looking at her and thinking about like on top of the everyday mesirut nefesh, like the self-sacrifice involved in like raising a Jewish family, like all that entails. Just thinking about what the additional mesirut nefesh of going through a pregnancy and a birth and taking care of a newborn baby. So Yikrat, anyway, pregnancy is always, for most people, it's a challenge. But I think that this pregnancy for Yikrat was especially challenging because, if any of you have ever passed your due date, I know usually I go past my due date, like a day or 2 or 3 or 4 days, and by the first day after my due date, I'm just going out of my mind. I'm just going crazy. I'm so ready to give birth to the baby finally. So Yikrat, she passed her due date. And then a day passed, and then 2 days passed, and then 3 days passed, and then a week passed, and then 2 weeks passed, and now 3 weeks passed. She gave birth after, she went 3 weeks past her due date. And just imagining just how insane she must have been going, and how tired she must have felt, and how worn, and how, stressed out she must have felt. But and then of course giving birth is always like a real challenge, no matter how easy a birth is. It's always very difficult. It's always quite a challenge also to recover from, and taking care of a newborn baby and waking up in the middle of the night and taking care and just trying to recover physically. It's a real challenge. And just looking at my friend and just knowing what my friend is doing, what Yikrat is doing, it's just phenomenal. Thinking that my friend, so why is she doing this? Why is she doing this again? Why are all of us? Why are we doing it again and again and again? Bezrat Hashem again. Why are we doing it? Because we know that this is what we want. This is what we want. We want to raise Jewish families. We want to have Jewish children who love Hashem and who love the Torah and are proud Jews and are good Jews and good people. And people are going to, be such great people and such great Jews, and they're really going to light up the world. That's why we're doing it. That's what motivates Yikrat time and time again to do this, to bring new Jewish children to the world. And just thinking about my friend's determination, it's awe-inspiring just to think of what she's doing, of how she's building this incredible Jewish family. It's really incredible. And on top of that, another reason why I get so emotional at brises and kiddushes and celebrating the births of new babies is because it reminds me of what was happening 70 years ago. What was the situation of the Jewish people 70 years ago? How Jewish mothers, Jewish fathers, Jewish children were just being murdered by the millions. I mean, we say these numbers and we can't even fathom what that means in Jewish schools and Jewish synagogues and yeshivas and Boston was just being destroyed. Like, who would ever dream? Who would ever have dreamt that, that today there'd be like, whole communities all over the world full of, little religious boys and little religious girls going to school, and, schools, synagogues that are like bursting with people and, minions around the clock. Like, who would have ever thought? I was just thinking this past week, I was thinking with this whole story, this whole terrible, terrible story with Leiby Kletsky, which has gotten all of us so upset, and I'm sure like every single mother watching this has had little Leiby in their hearts, since this terrible, terrible incident occurred. But something that I was thinking about was that I was just thinking, that during the Holocaust, 70 years ago, and how, that this horrible story that I know, like last night I was editing, I was posting a letter, a statement, like a public statement made by the parents following the Shiva, it was made by the Kletsky parents following the Shiva. I just posted it on my website, and I just read it over, and I recommend that you read it. It's very nice. It's actually very, very nice. It's about like positive steps that we can take, b'ikavot, like as in response to the murder of Leiby Kletsky, zichrono livracha. And but like last night, like I couldn't get to sleep. I was like lying there for half an hour, just lying in bed and just thinking about this poor little boy and thinking about his parents and what they're going through. But imagine, just imagine, 70 years ago, there were 6 million Leiby Kletskys. Like this horror that we're feeling now, this horror that we're feeling of a murder of a Jewish child, that happened 6 million times. Like the evil, evil murder of mothers, like 6 million mothers and fathers and grandfathers and grandmothers and children and babies. It's like you can't even fathom like the level of horror. Like what we've been going through with Leiby Kletsky, times 6 million, you can't even fathom it. And then, just to go this morning to a bris for this little boy, Hillel Natan Friedman, and to just know what we went through 70 years ago, and to see this today, and to be at a simcha today, celebrating this birth of a new Jewish child, growing up in a Jewish family in Yerushalayim. This child is going to be growing up like keeping the mitzvot and keeping Shabbat and loving Hashem and loving the Torah, like a proud Jew in Eretz Israel. Like who would have ever thought? 70 years ago? Who would have ever thought that any of this would be possible? It's like we're living a dream. It's like we're living a dream. And I know that for myself, like I think probably for most of us, we get jaded about simchas. Like we get jaded, like, oh, another wedding, and another bris, another kiddush. Well, she had another baby, and then another baby, and then another baby. But like I just want to remind us Jewish moms, like, first of all, what we're doing. Like just remind ourselves of this mesirut nefesh that we're doing, like of this, for the mesirut nefesh, like the self-sacrifice that we are doing day by day for this tremendous, tremendous goal that we have. Raising Jewish children, raising observant Jewish children who are going to be, proud Jews and good Jews, and, serving Hashem, and like rebuilding the Jewish people, and also that we should remember, like every birth we go to, every wedding, every bris, every kiddush, to remember what was happening 70 years ago, and how grateful, tremendously grateful we should be for every single new little baby. Every single new little Jewish child, every single new baby, which is enabling us to rebuild the Jewish people, which is enabling us, to rebuild God's presence in the world, after it was destroyed almost totally, almost so thoroughly, So I want to bless, first of all, I want to bless my friends, Adi and Yikrat Friedman. I want to bless them with so much nachas from little Hillel Natan, and that they should have only nachas from all of their children, that they should be blessed, all of them, that they should be blessed with good health and parnasah, and shalom bayit, and only good things, and only good news, that we should always share simchas together. And I want to bless all of you Jewish moms, I want to bless you with so much nachas from every single one of your children. I want to bless all of you with an amazing, amazing week.